Hi, and welcome to P&B's Wide World of Ports. I'm Patrick, and tonight I'm joined by my two lovely daughters, Anya.
Hi.
And Megan.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking about themed cruises, and we're going to relay our experience on a themed cruise that we got to take in 2020 called Sail Across the Sun that was headlined by the band Train. They had 21 bands in addition to Train, some of them simultaneous. It was a 4-day cruise, and they had concerts every day of the cruise, some happening simultaneously. They had about 5 different venues, and one of which was the pool deck. They actually built a deck on the pool, so you were actually standing in the pool to watch the concert, which was kind of cool. Was that you guys' favorite venue, the pool?
I think so.
Yeah, that's where we went to most of the concerts we went to.
But I think probably the best concert happened in the Stardust Theater. You remember Ezra Ray Hart?
That one was really good.
Yeah, I think I liked that.
But we saw Train on the pool deck. That was the first one we went to.
Yeah, the first night of the cruise, we got to see Train on the pool deck, and that was really cool. They put on an amazing show.
Do you remember the acoustic Train one?
Yes, they did a short acoustic set in the Stardust Theater. I want to start out by talking about what it took to get on this cruise, because a lot of these theme cruises sell out immediately. That was the case on this one. This was actually the 6th year that they had done this, and I got online like 10 minutes after they opened up rooms for this cruise, and it was immediately sold out. So I had to get on a waiting list, which you have to pay $100 just to get on the waiting list, which you do get back if you don't end up getting a stateroom, or if they offer it to you and circumstances change and you can't go, you do get that $100 back, but you do have to put that $100 down to get your name on the list. So this was March of 2019, and it wasn't until October of 2019 that they finally contacted me and said that they had a stateroom available. So I went ahead and reserved it. It was the cheapest interior room. So these cruises are more expensive than just a regular cruise for obvious reasons. This one in particular, for us three, was $2,799 before taxes and port fees. And with taxes and port fees, it was $3,381. And so for a 4-night cruise, I mean, it was definitely if you break it down by day, it was definitely the most expensive cruise that we've been on. And one thing that made this cruise worth a little more money is, like I said, there were concerts going on pretty much all evening throughout the ship. We got to see 3 of our favorite bands. Ezra Ray Hart supergroup. It's made up of Kevin Griffin from Better Than Ezra, Emerson Hart from Tonic, and Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. They formed a supergroup and performed songs from all 3 of those bands, and that was probably that was probably the best concert, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Stardust Theater. That was
definitely
amazing.
my favorite.
Now, don't get me wrong, Train put on an amazing show, and it was great to see them. We got to see them on the pool deck, and then we got to see an acoustic set in the Stardust Theater. And then we actually were introduced to an artist that we were not familiar with at the time in Todd Carey. And this guy is an amazing musician. He's also one of the most personable, approachable musicians I've ever met. He's just a regular guy that wants to talk to people.
And he sat right across from us on that little boat thing,
I remember that.
and we didn't even know it was him until later.
Yeah.
We didn't know he was famous.
I mean, there was always something to do and we actually had to, at the end of one concert, we would have to run to a different venue to get, a good spot for the next one. I mean, they had concerts going on pretty late in the night, if I remember correctly. And one of the venues was the Atrium, which was kind of cool. The bad part about that is that we went to Ocean's several times late at night to get their late night snack, and the music was so loud because it's just up in one of the upper decks of the Atrium. The music was so loud it was almost unbearable at times, sitting up there trying to eat just because they had that music blasting. But one of the most fun things about this cruise, and I don't know if they do this on other music themed cruises, but the first night we were there, they had what they call flare exchange. And so basically, people either design and purchase or make their own, like keychains, those pinback buttons. What else?
There were some flower crowns.
Oh, and
I remember that. They had different.
yeah, and guitar picks. And so the first night in the Spinnaker Lounge, everybody that wanted to participate got to meet in there. We made keychains
There was also like these little necklaces that were like bottle cap necklaces.
You basically sit at a table and you put all your stuff out in front of you. People just wander through and, grab one of whatever you've got and offer up what they have, and you could just kind of exchange with other people. We all three got more than we could put on our lanyard. So it was kind of fun to just kind of switch your pieces of flair out on your lanyard each night and, put new stuff on there. Other than what's on my lanyard, there was a whole bag of stuff left over. And so yeah, it was a lot of stuff, but I think for me, that was one of the highlights of the cruise. It was so much fun. And just to see everybody's creativity and the things that they came up with.
I kept trying to put all of my pens.
Yeah,
I think I almost
really
fit them
bad.
all, but you have to like overlap them to get
Did
them
we get
on.
magnets too?
Yeah, there were magnets. So yeah, you would have to get like a 6-foot long lanyard to fit everything on there. And another thing that we really liked is they had autograph signings. They had at least 2 different autograph signings where it was also in the Spinnaker Lounge. They would have groups and individual musicians sitting at tables around kind of the perimeter, and you just get in line, and they sold posters, and you could purchase one of those. Were they $20?
I think so.
Okay.
But they didn't have train signing them.
Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't like is, now I understand if they had Train at an autograph signing, it would be total chaos because everybody in the ship would be in there. But we had also heard people that had been on past sailings say that when they got to their stateroom that first night of the cruise, there was a poster in there that had already been signed by Train. So it just would have been nice that, if the headliner of the whole cruise would have, if you would have been able to get a signed poster one way or another. But anyway, it was really neat to be able to meet the musicians and get your picture taken with them. Here's a picture with a Rembrandt and then Ezra Ray Hart. So it was neat to have that. Another thing that we liked is before the cruise, they sent us luggage tags for each of us in the mail that had the Sail Across the Sun logo. And then when we got on the ship,
They have these in all of our rooms. Or I guess we only have one room. But they're picnic blankets that say Sail Across the Sun, and we each got one. I haven't even opened mine yet. And then there was also
there was a wine stopper. So I think 2 of the 4 nights we came back to our stateroom in the evening, and there was a little goodie for each of us.
I also got a bracelet one time, I think, because I was in the kids club or something.
Oh yeah, which reminds me, she was in the kids club, and Train was doing a special event for the kids where I'll let you tell them what you got to do.
So we had these little things that it said ukulele, but I think they're supposed to be guitars because they have a pick.
It's a 6-string
We'll say
ukulele. Yeah,
ukulele. But he went around and he signed all of them.
they got to decorate them, and the whole band was in there, right?
He was the only one signing, but
So I guess one of us did get Pat Monahan's signature.
and it was personal too. So.
And what was funny is we didn't realize this till we got off the ship and saw the pictures on the 6-Man website. But while Megan was decorating her ukulele, Pat Monahan was standing right behind her, as you can see in the picture, and she didn't even know it.
Yeah, I'm famous.
So that was cool. And she also got another very special item. One of the concerts they were doing on the pool deck, in between songs, Pat Monahan grabs a Train shirt and puts it on over his shirt, and he signed it. And then he would walk to each band member and hand them the Sharpie and have them sign it while he was wearing it. And then what happened?
He gave it to me.
He handed it right to her. She was in the front row, and there it is with all the band's signatures on it.
It smells like him.
That was super cool. And one of the neat things about being on the ship with all these different bands is you're likely to run into one of the members just, in the buffet. Like, here's a picture that Anya got to take with Kevin Griffin, lead singer of Better Than Ezra. And I think we saw Emerson Hart getting on a tender one time. That was kind of neat. But one thing I forgot to mention about this cruise is I had a broken ankle, which made it a little bit challenging. One thing that we found out real quick about the people on this cruise in particular, much like there's a camaraderie just among, in the cruising community, people that love to cruise. There was just something about music that brings people together, wouldn't you say? I mean,
yeah, everyone was so much nicer.
We were actually, or at least I was a little worried going into it that it was going to be a little too much of a party atmosphere, to have my girls there, because there's a Facebook page and there was a lot of posting about drinking and alcohol, and so I was a little apprehensive. But I mean, there was a lot of alcohol consumed on the ship, but I didn't see anybody out of control. Probably happened at some point somewhere, but around us. And there were people, like when we would go to the pool deck for a concert, I had to get over this little ledge with my knee scooter, and people would come up and say, "Here, let me help you," and they would lift that over and help me get back on it. And it was just it's like we all shared a common bond, and everybody was so friendly. And that made the cruise that much better.
The only thing is that one time where you couldn't get into the dining hall.
I was just about to say that, because the dining room was literally downstairs.
Yeah.
And there was no other way to get there.
There were two, but one was reserved for the artists. I would have had to kind of hop down the stairs, and I didn't want to take that chance. So we ate all our meals in the buffet, but it was fine. It was good food. Norwegian food is good. We had 2 stops on this cruise. One was Nassau, Bahamas, and we pretty much just went shopping for souvenirs that day.
Yeah.
And then we got to go to Great Stirrup Key, which is the private island. And they had an awesome beach. Do you girls want to talk about that?
Yeah, I didn't really see anything that was like scary, because normally I'm scared I'm gonna like step on a fish or something.
There was a lot of moss on the rocks, but that's to be expected.
But I think we had water shoes. Me and her did a race. I definitely won.
No, you did not.
I did.
Easy now.
No, like I was way ahead. But anyways, they had this huge swing in the water, and it had like 2 swings on it.
It was really cool.
That was really cool.
But yeah, that was a really, really fun day. There's also shops on there too.
The shops at the private island had some of the same stuff as we saw in Nassau, but of course it was more expensive because there were fewer of them and it's a privately owned island. But so if you're making those 2 stops, do your shopping in Nassau. Okay, so one thing I did is I looked up a couple of themed cruises that are coming up in 2023 just to show you what the pricing is like and how it compares with what we paid, and it looks like it's almost identical, at least when you go with averages. So I saw the Golden Girls cruise, which is coming up in a month or so, and the cheapest inside stateroom for that, it's a 5-night cruise. Cheapest inside stateroom for that is $999 per person. That's without taxes and port fees. And it's only making 2 stops. It's going to Key West and Cozumel. And the most expensive room that I found on their site is actually the penthouse suite, which is going to run you a cool $14,464.53.
For one room?
For one room. It is the penthouse suite. So, and then also the Rock Boat, which is very similar to what we went on because they have multiple bands performing, every night. And it's a 5-day as well. It's going to be going to Dominican Republic and Nassau. Again, two port stops. And the inside stateroom, cheapest price I could find. This one's sold out, by the way, which I'm sure it probably was as soon as the rooms became available. Inside stateroom is $1,205 per person before taxes and port fees. And then the most expensive one that I saw was the owner's suite, which is $4,990. And usually the way these operate is once you've been on the cruise once, you've got your foot in the door. And so the next time they have it, the people that were on the previous sailing get first pick. Like they have a Sail Across the Sun cruise coming up in February, I think, of 2023. And if we had wanted to do it again, I got an email that said, you can book your stateroom. And so we could have gotten on it, but we chose not to this time. But in conclusion, our themed cruise is worth it. Really, it's up to the individual. We paid quite a bit more for this cruise than we paid for our other cruises, but I would say absolutely. For the memories that we had on that cruise and just the experiences we got to have, seeing that many awesome musicians together and getting to see them multiple times, for me, absolutely. I have no regrets in spending the extra money. What do you think, Anya?
Absolutely, especially if you're like a concert person. Seeing Hazel's sister live was a really great experience because, and it sounds just the same. Like his voice sounds the same live as it does not live.
On the recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Megan, what are your thoughts?
I think it's worth it, although I didn't spend the money. It was, how many cruises have I been on?
Probably
4?
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5, and that was like the most memorable. Like if I
Absolutely.
think about a cruise, I think about that one.
It was my
Everybody was
favorite.
so nice, and it was so fun.
And one of my favorite memories is after Anya and I had gone to Oceans late at night. This was probably 2 in the morning,
Or
right?
at least 2 in the morning, yeah.
We had our nightly cheese fries
And coffee.
and
I
coffee.
wasn't here for this.
Yeah, she was snoozing. But we went to the buffet afterwards, and we were trying to take a selfie, and this is the result. So I can't remember, either I didn't want the flash to go off and it did, or I wanted it to and it didn't, and so I had this dumbfounded look on my face.
You didn't know the flash was
That
on.
was it. And Anya just started cracking up. She was laughing so hard she fell on the ground, or on the floor, and it took her a little while to recover.
That's another thing.
But we did finally get a good shot.
The fries were so good with ice cream too.
They had that like butterscotch syrup.
It tasted like caramel.
Tasted like caramel, but it said butterscotch.
The fries are good.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you've been on a themed cruise, leave a comment down below and let us know what cruise you went on and did you think it was worth it. All right, until next time, we'll see you later.